Yeah, so my name is Dennis Middleton. Started my business in 19, and it was just me and a helper. Slowly brought on a good friend of mine and a partner at the time. Hired a few guys, and then have slowly just been growing the business. Since we kind of started working with Tridas, I mean, things have kind of grown a lot faster than expected, but that's kind of how I started and where I'm at. So I started this in 19, so it's been a few years.
Sweet. So you've been at it 5 years, and did you dive right into like a painting business 5 years ago, or was it always painting? Was it some remodeling
So
and
yeah, so
construction, or
right out of high school, I was painting. So that kind of is where I started in a sense. And then I went and worked for other companies and stuff like that. Completely different trades. I was in the oil fields and doing other things, and I kind of just got tired of traveling and decided, hey, I'm gonna try to go back to painting and see where it goes, right? And
Mhm.
so that's kind of what was the idea behind it and how we got here. So.
Yeah, man. I mean, you've had some pretty significant growth, at least since we've started working together, and I think I've also seen a big mindset shift as well as like a business owner operator. I could be way off, but I think I've definitely seen a bit of this transition here as we kind of level up. So I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff we could dive into and kind of drop some golden nuggets throughout the call here. So past 5 years, how was growth when you first got started? Like how were you guys landing projects at the very start?
Um, yeah, so the kind of the way I approached everything, before I quit my actual job, I tried to get about, I think it was like 2 months worth of work backlog. So when I quit, I could kind of just take off running and I wasn't just sitting, right? But it started with all the typical, Angie's ads, Home Advisor, that kind of thing, and that was fine. It kept me busy. The first year I made enough money to pay bills and not have to go to my everyday job, right?
Yep.
And then slowly I got a helper, and it was just really, instead of being a business owner, I was just a self-employed painter working for myself. But here over the last probably, I don't know, it's probably been a year and a half now. It's kind of transitioned from being a self-employed painter to a business owner and having employees and kind of taking that step. So yeah, that's kind of what started it. I think really the biggest jump was going from Home Advisor and like Angie's List type deals, those customers are just saying, "Hey, I need a painter," and three, four, five different guys show up. They don't know their company's name. They just show up. Versus kind of when we jumped on with you guys, that's kind of more of a building our brand in a sense. So when they reach
Mhm.
out to us, they're reaching out to Middleton Painting. And then just the amount of uh, with our ads showing everywhere, we've been recognized out in town at the paint store. Oh, I've seen your ads, stuff like that. So it's really helped grow our brand, and I think it's a lot, a lot of people are kind of going to find us and not just reaching in a hat in a sense and just pulling out the first painter that comes out. So
Right. Yeah, I mean, I hear that a lot, right? It's like when you get started, you have to kind of hustle, use your blood, sweat, and tears. It's like just get whatever you can. And then as you start to stack a couple of the wins, you can start to graduate into like, how do we actually operate a business? And like, what does a
yeah.
business look like? Right. And I think you guys have done a great job of that over the past year, obviously building your brand, becoming known as well. You said you've got people in the paint store recognizing you. So is that other painters or is that like the Sherwin Williams
Man,
reps
it's
or?
been the staff, it's been other painters out and about, at Lowe's, like, oh, they might see our shirt and it say Middleton, and then they kind of put two and two together, like, oh, you're the guy that I'm seeing
Mm.
all over my Facebook. And when I run estimates, they don't expect me to show up. They just see the ad, do a quote request or whatever, and then I show up and like, oh, you're the guy from the video. I didn't know you were coming. And they go, oh, you're the owner. Yeah, I'm the owner. So it seems like I've been recognized a handful of times here in the last couple months for sure. So yeah,
For sure. So for context for anyone listening then, so what we're doing for Dennis is essentially running like local celebrity video ads on Facebook so people can see you, your name, your brand, your face, and actually put a face to a business. So it's not Painting Company 101 reaching out. It's like, hey, I'm a person, a human being, I'm part of the community.
yeah,
Right. Do you,
yeah.
do you feel like that's been helping, those estimates you go on where, Miss Sally does recognize you? Do you feel like that you notice a difference in those estimates?
Um, yeah, I think so. What I've noticed is, a lot of the things I've heard was, um, they wanted to reach out to somebody that was local in a sense, and not just some kind of big brand out there that's advertising in 50
Hmm.
states or whatever. Somebody they could put a face to, somebody they could meet. Some of them were surprised that I was the one showing up. But it definitely seems like it kind of gives it more of a uh, yeah, I don't know the word, I guess more of a friendly conversation and kind of foot in the door kind of sense, knowing that
Sure.
we're local, the meeting the guy that runs it, and it kind of seems like more of a smaller business versus just some massive paint brand. So a lot of people are kind of shooting for that, I believe.
Yeah, you're kind of building this relationship like automatically on the back end. It's almost like automated door knocking or something. You're building that relationship, and that's actually really interesting that you said that most people are kind of looking for more of that like friendly local painting contractor because we've also seen this mistake with a lot of the bigger franchises that guys are doing multiple millions, and they're kind of in their head they're like, I want to be the biggest business. I'm turning this into a corporate absolute massacre, and I think
Yeah,
what we're noticing that actually nobody actually wants that like the homeowners, even if you are the biggest business, you're doing 5 million a year and you guys absolutely crash. Like the homeowner doesn't want to know that they're one of the 50 projects you've got going on that month. So like even the big companies are trying to actually like reverse their look a little bit to look like they're not, truck in a truck size, but small enough that you get that feel that like what you guys are essentially doing, which is like
yeah.
the person you're seeing is showing up, you're local, you're friendly. So it's really interesting that you said that. How many guys have you got working for you right now then?
I believe I've got 8 painters, two carpenters, and then my partner that he kind of runs the production side of things. I kind of take it from the cold call, the estimate, setting the
Hmm.
project up, and then he kind of runs our crew side. So yeah, we've got 8 painters, two carpenters, and me and my partner. So yeah,
Got it. So over a team of 10. I think that's
yeah.
that's super important as well. Remind me, did you say you jumped in with your partner when you very first started the business
No, I
5 years
quit.
ago?
So yeah, I quit my job and probably worked a year before I could convince
Sure.
him to come on board. Yeah.
And did he come on straight as like that project manager, handle the jobs
Well,
right
so
from the get-go?
yeah, so when he came on board, it was just me and him in a truck. I mean, it was just me and him. We would go paint houses, just me and him, right? And then we may have
Sure.
had like a helper or a laborer that would come give us a hand or move some liners around for us, on some bigger projects. But yeah, it was just me and him, and um, slowly got a helper, and then took a step back, and we got another helper, and then once I kind of got off the brush, I was off the brush, and I didn't go back to it. And then
Hmm.
he's kind of off the brush as well. He's just kind of overseeing jobs and managing crews and stuff like that. Like last week we had 6 different jobs going. 2 guys here, 2 guys there, just bouncing around, and so he's kind of running all that, making sure that's going smooth. And I'm just doing the estimates right now. So yeah,
That's cool. I think you've broken it up in a really advantageous way. Like not everybody can easily find that partner that they can trust
yeah,
to split it 50-50. But when you can, like what you've done is so optimal. It's like you focus on inflow, you focus on getting the blood, building the brand. He focuses on actually doing the jobs. Everyone's kind of got their lane. That's super, super key. Was this someone that you said was like your friend that you knew of, or how did you
yeah. So he's
find
a
them?
childhood friend. I've known him 30 something years.
Mm,
His dad and my dad used to build houses together. So
mm,
it kind of comes from that way. They were friends, we were friends, so he's been around for most of my life. But yeah, he like I said, I'm very fortunate to have a guy like that because I know it's hard to find somebody that cares as much about your business as you do, and
mm.
having a partner like that, he's definitely in it to win it, like just like me. So it's been working out. Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. That's a testament to you guys growing as you're not hitting that bottleneck of like, oh shit, I've got to hire project managers and got to manage the estimates at the same time. You've already got that dialed in, which is probably a good help on how
Yeah.
quickly you guys have been growing the past year and a half as well.
Yeah.
What would you guys do differently? You're kind of 5 years in. What did you do in revenue last year?
Um, Last year, just under 400,000.
Just
Yep,
under.
last year
Okay.
just under 400,000, and this year, so last year was kind of tricky because I probably was on the brush for 4 or 5 months, and I would maybe
Mm,
take off 2 days a week to go run estimates and keep my backlog going. And I would work Monday to Wednesday, go run estimates Thursday, Friday, and I didn't quite have enough leads coming in to get off the brush full time.
hmm.
And plus, there was a little bit of I don't know if it was a trust thing, but me being off the job, thinking that nobody else could do it as good as me, right? It kind
Oh
of
yeah.
took up a hurdle for me to step away and just trust the guys to just take care of it. So I mean, I was kind of in and out, and I would be checking on jobs and running estimates and stuff like that. But I would say this year has been probably the full last 12, I guess 10 months. I've been completely off the brush. But as you know, we've slowly increased your guys' marketing as well.
Hmm.
So we really, I would say, full steam ahead since like August. It was kind of a slow start up through the halfway through the year because I was getting rid of Angie's, getting rid of Home Advisor, dropping off a couple of these other, lead services that we just were confident enough to just do away with. So
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. So do you know like ballpark what you'd be on track to do by the end of the year if you keep up at this pace?
So I mean, my total sales for the year is now some of this stuff is booked for next year, spring, January, February, but my total sales for this year is 1.1 million.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go, brother. Let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah. And I
That's
think,
huge.
yeah, so that's my total sales for the year. Like I said, we're not going to get all that done this year. I think my
Yeah.
next hurdle is we're getting plenty of work.
Mhm.
I just got to find the right guys to bring on. I need some more painters. We've got to kind of figure out the next hurdle, and we're working with a couple other guys to try to help fine tune that process. So,
That's awesome, man. Yeah, it's great to see your guys' growth from 400 to 1.1 million.
yeah.
What's the goal for next year? Have you set your
I
sights on
mean,
anything?
we jokingly say we like to see 1.5 and see where it goes, right? I think if we keep with this, you know, out of the 1.1, I guess we've had, I mean, that didn't really start taking, I guess, getting as much traction probably for the first 6 months, coming through January, February, kind of slow. We were still kind of messing with Angie's and Home Advisor, other lead services that weren't panning out, just trying to figure out where to kind of get the leads from. And then,
Hmm.
I would say really probably the last 4 months is where we just really been hitting it harder than with you guys for sure, and then kind of just taking that and running with it. I know trying to get some of the forms tweaked a little bit for our zip codes and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But I mean, once that kind of got tweaked in, I mean, we need more painters now. Yeah, we're just staying super busy. So
Yeah, I mean it's like chicken and egg things. Like go get a bunch of work, then go get the people to do it, then keep like
yeah, yeah,
filling up the bucket. So past like I've been seeing in the Slack channel, you guys are, and you've seen my messages. You've been pinging sales. I think you had like a one day where you closed like four 9K sales back to back, and I was like, hold on, I need to invest in Middleton Painting or something.
yeah,
Like what's going on here? What
yeah, yeah.
do you know what you've done in like the past month or past couple of months? Any numbers on growth
Yeah.
there?
So it's kind of so total sales. Are you asking for total or?
Yeah, I mean, do you know what you've sold in the past month or sold in the past 2 months? Even if it's a general ballpark. I know you guys have been doing like over
Yeah. So in
100K
the
months
last,
recently.
yeah. So in the last 2 months, uh, August 1st to now, about 400,000. Yeah, in the last
Wait,
2 months, 2.5 months.
you said you sold 400,000.
Yep, yep, 400,000 in the last 2 months, 2.5 months or so.
Okay. So you basically in the past couple months you just did what your business did last year,
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So that's what I was kind of getting at. I mean, the last couple months we really full steam ahead. I guess with running, try to get over a couple hurdles and things like that. But yeah, we've really hit it hard the last 2 months. Yeah, I think it was the first 2 weeks of this month. I think I did 100,000 in sales in 14 days earlier this month. So, yeah,
I'm just laughing because it's just so cool to see that like when you think about, Dennis 3 years ago, 5 years ago, it's like, would you picture yourself just knocking out 100K in 2 weeks in sales? It's like such a good growth spurt.
yeah,
That like this is soon going to become a hygiene standard, and you're going to be like, I only did 100K in the 2 weeks. It should have been 150. That's
right,
the
yeah,
that's the crazy thing about the growth. Do you know
yeah.
how much out of that 400 was like attributed through Tridas, or was majority of it, or do you know what that
So,
split
so
is?
try, yeah. So the way it's tagged in and the way I've kind of broken it down, I was trying to get all that together. I've got through my metrics, I've got Tritus and Facebook, and
Hmm.
then website. All most of that stuff. I don't do anything with our website really. That's all you guys.
Hmm.
Instagram, I do nothing on Instagram. That's you guys. So Tritus and Facebook. I kind of rounded all that together.
Yeah.
Out of year to date, from would be what I think would be all be Tridas was about 700 grand. So that was year to date. If you're looking at the last 60 days was probably about 400 almost. So yeah,
400.
yeah,
That's
that
cool.
was all
I want to
Tridas.
look at some of these numbers here. So past 60 days, essentially all 400K of it you closed was through Tridas. In the past 60 days, you spent 10K on the ads. So you spent
Yeah, yeah,
10K on the video ads, so 400K in closed, and then
yeah,
let's just have a look at the whole year. I'm curious what that comes out to for the full year to date. And then for the full year, you've spent a little bit under 20. It's like 19.8. So you put 20K into the ads and closed 700K. Brother,
yeah. From what I can figure, yeah, yeah,
that's insane. That's
it's
like
pretty
a
good.
2 or 3% cost of marketing if I'm doing the numbers right there.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, that's awesome, man. I mean, what do you think is the biggest thing that makes that work? Like we can talk on both sides, right? On the marketing side, what do you think is the reason for that? And then we can kind of talk on the back end sales side as well.
Um, so on the marketing side, I guess, I mean, that's kind of your guys' deal. I just know that, some of the videos we put out there that are super high
Mm,
engagement, a lot of comments, likes, people are sharing it, stuff like that. So I mean, I definitely think the ads we're running are working. Outside of that, that's kind of way outside of my wheelhouse. But definitely the ads you guys are running, you guys know how to target, who to get, kind of get all that figured out. And then I guess just what really seemed to be some of our most popular ads have been the ones where I'm talking about, hey, I'm Dennis from Memphis, just sounding local, smaller business, somebody that they can relate to in a sense. And
mm.
yeah, those have been, I mean, just killing it. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you remember this, and I'll challenge you to see if you remember this, but I remember the first couple of months we worked together, you didn't get us over a video, and we keep pinging you to get us over videos, and it took like, I don't think it took like a month or two, maybe three max. I don't think it was 3 months to get that video over because like you're a little bit like a lot of people where it's like a little bit gun shy to think that the video stuff works.
Yeah.
And like I think you're a great example of like didn't chuck like the energy in the video straight away, had to kind of like hype yourself up to do it. And then once you've done it, it's like, I'm assuming you feel the same way as me of like, I fucking love doing videos. Like this stuff
Yeah.
works. This is keep pumping
Yeah,
it
I mean,
out.
at first, it was all new to me. Recording a
Mm.
selfie video, that's never been my thing, right? So it was kind of weird. I probably shot that first video, man, 20 times to try to get it to look right, but you guys edited it up and it was perfect. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was just kind of outside of my comfort zone a little bit, and I was so used to just Angie's, right? So I'd get a ping on my phone, I call this person. If it worked, it worked. It didn't, it didn't. I kind of ran
Hmm.
with it that way, but yeah, no, that's definitely been the video ads have been really killing it. So I mean, that's definitely the way to go. Yeah, absolutely, yeah,
Yeah. And I mean, obviously we can take credit for like our 50% of kind of like getting it out there, lining people up, but it's a testament to you've been absolutely crushing it, and you've been out there like an animal, just closing what seems like every single door you walk in front of, you get 10 grand out of it somehow. So let's dive into that. What is your process in terms of when a lead comes through, even from like first contact? Like, how do you
yeah.
approach
So
when Dennis
so
gets a
I'll
lead come
say
through?
too, yeah. So I'll say that at first, I would say that when I say the last 4 months, has really taken off. A lot of that's kind of on me as well because you can't, I would be trying to be involved in running the estimates, calling the contacts, the leads, checking on jobs. But once I kind of got over that a little bit, where my partner's running the crews, it's all on him. It's in their hands. I kind of step back completely. It allows me to get to these leads a lot quicker. So kind of the process for me, if it comes in, I try to get with it, as soon as I possibly can, maybe that second or that minute or within 10 minutes, try to get to that lead. And I've got a setup process that I use with them. I try to make sure, before I come out and look at that job, that, both homeowners are going to be home. Try to kind of get, it set up on the call side of it to where when I actually show up, it's in a position to close. So
Hmm.
there's kind of a pre-closed deal that I do there, and then once I go out and look at the job, I take like a client manual that's got photos and just real personable information, warranties, guarantees. I got a picture of me and my partner and my kid, so it's just kind of get them to help them get to know us through a booklet. And then I kind of just go through the process with them, do a full walk around with the customer, point everything out that we're going to do. And I mean, that seems to be working on the sales side of it, you know.
Hmm.
I don't get them all, but I've been doing pretty good. So yeah.
For sure. What is so you try to basically speed to lead, like there's someone that's reached out, let's hit them straight away. Is there any like initial text you send out to them if they don't like pick up? What's the like nitty-gritty approach there? Do you have a set tone or cadence you go through texts?
Yeah, so if I don't, you told me about it, if they don't answer the phone, the
Yeah,
first
I'm assuming
call.
you call right away, right?
Yeah, I
First
try to
first thing
call
to
right
call.
away. If they don't answer, I'll leave a voicemail. I may shoot a text, hey, this is Dennis. I just got your request. Reach out when you can. I might give it a
Mm,
day or two. I don't try to push them too hard, call them 5 or 6 times a day. May
mhm,
call them the next day. I believe my CRM will send an email as well saying, hey, we've got your request. When you're ready to please reach out to us for an estimate. And sometimes they're hard to get a hold of, but I mean, usually I would say 50% of them, I mean, they either call me back or I call them and catch them on the phone. And it
mhm.
turns into an estimate. But even the ones that for some reason I haven't gotten a hold of, I'm kind of got a list together of some backlogged leads that are sitting there for when we need them. So, yeah.
And then I noticed sometimes in the notifications you'll ping through like and book like five, six estimates in what feels like 5 minutes. Is that you going back through that old list and catching up on some people, or is that you just taking your time to do some appointment
Yeah,
setting?
I mean, it's really me delegating the time to it. I've tried to
Hmm.
fill out a couple weeks or a week or two worth of estimates. So I might have Monday morning I've got some time, so I'll sit down and I'll run through those calls, and then I might get eight more estimates booked out. Then I kind of move on. So I'm not sitting in front of the computer all day just making cold calls. I think that's going to be my next step on bringing somebody to help me with calling those people constantly, right?
Sure.
So yeah, basically, if I get a little extra time, maybe I'm on lunch and I'm on my phone, I will just run through, 10 or 15 calls and see what happens. But yeah, usually when you see 6, 7, 8 of them come through within 15 minutes, it's just because I'm just calling that list, at that time. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, even when you said then, like, hey, when you're on lunch, you'll go through like, 15, 16 people. It's like, that's the sort of thing that, like, you're doing the stuff that most people aren't willing to do, which is
Yeah.
why you're getting the type of results other people aren't ready to get.
Yeah.
Is
And I'll
because
say too,
most
I
people
mean,
want to sit and fuck off and just have some lunch and watch a video. It's like, call your damn leads. There is money sitting in this pot. You can either go and get
yeah,
it
I
or
mean,
you can leave it.
exactly, man. Our average job size for the year, I guess, is about 9 or 10 grand. So I mean, for every lead, it's potentially 10 grand.
Yeah,
So that's kind of the way I look at it. So I mean, if I'm on lunch and I can make 15 calls, that's potentially, $150,000 right there, if we get those leads. So I mean, that's kind of the way I look at it. I will say too, like the first half of this year, I was kind of a little more nonchalant about it. If a lead came in, I would call them one time, and I just kind of thought to myself, well, if they don't call me, I guess they're not worried about it too much, right? Just kind of let
hmm,
it go. But just growing as a person in business, you just kind of start seeing, hey, sometimes they want you to be the one that reaches out to them. So that's one of the initiatives that I've started taking, and it's really, I mean, like I said, that's part of the reason why we've jumped so far in the last 2 months, versus January to now. So
for
just got
sure.
to get out there and make those calls, man. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really big thing that a lot of people, especially that new business owners, get stuck in the mindset of thinking that they've earned the right and just deserve people to just want to work with them and pay them money. And it's like
Right.
you're in a
Yeah.
business, like you have to go and make the sales. Like if you don't like doing that, then you probably should just go and get a job.
Yep.
Because like you won't win them all. Like even you said you're booking 50%, which some people hear that and be like, well, I book 90% of my leads, but they're all word of mouth and referrals, right? When you want to
Right.
scale and you want to get more volume, you're not going to win as many. And I think that's a big part of sales is if you're losing more than you're winning, it probably means you're doing something right. Sometimes if
Yeah.
you're winning too much, it means there's something wrong here. Are you not doing enough volume? Are you charging too little? Whatever it could be. But
Yeah.
you mentioned two of the big things you do in like the appointment setting call, like the setup call, is making sure all the homeowners are there, and then also kind of like pre-selling the estimate and getting them ready. How do
Yeah,
you?
basically, I try to figure out and make sure that they're in a position to possibly make a hiring decision while I'm there. So I want to get both
Mhm,
homeowners present. I kind of ask them like, hey, if everything works out right and the price is right, or you feel like we're the right team for the job, so you guys in the position to make a decision to get on our schedule. And I try to see if they're ready to hire or if they're just price shopping. Sometimes if they say, "Oh no, we're getting 3 or 4 other quotes," I may even say something like, "Well, that's fine. How about this? Go ahead and get your other quotes, and I'll be the last quote. So if you decide to close, schedule in with us while I'm there, we're doing like a discount. I kind of offer an
Mm,
incentive to them. So, hey, if you guys make the decision to get scheduled in with us during the estimate, I do 10% off. So I kind of have that incentive. So I just try to fill it out because at the end of the day, I mean, if they're not ready to close or they're just price shopping or if they're, whatever the reason may be, sometimes I might just push that estimate off and just move on and try to stick with the ones that are sound more certain, I guess, in a sense. So
yeah, that's so important, man. That like you're actually given a reason to do the thing. You're not just saying, "Oh, everyone be there." Oh, like I'm going to be last, and there's no actual tangible reason why. Like when you position it in that way, which is great, it sounds like in their head they're like, "Oh, he's actually doing us a favor and wants to make sure we can honor the discount." But what you're
yeah,
really doing
yeah.
tactically is making sure that you've got all the information from the other quotes beforehand, so that you can slam dunk it,
Yeah, because I don't,
right?
I don't want to go there and then they say, well, we got one other bid coming. I just say, hey guys, we give a discount if you make a decision on the day of the estimate. And I
Hmm.
said, how about this? Let me be the last estimate so you guys can still take advantage of that.
Mm,
So they're saying it as, okay, this guy's trying to save us some money, but at the end of the day, it's me trying to be the last estimate so I can try to close them, and not
hmm.
have an excuse for, hey, I need another estimate or if both of the homeowners aren't home, they can say, well, I got to talk to my husband or my wife. They're not home. So I try to get all the kind of objections out of the way on the
Mm.
setup call. So when I show up, there's not nothing less for them to say no with. It may be a pricing or other things come up, but some of the main objections are kind of taken care of. So
How do you handle it? Because I know like the husband and wife thing is so important, right? Because if only one of them's there, instantly you know you're going to get that. Oh, I need to speak to spouse.
yeah.
How do you handle that? Like, do you have a certain approach if people typically have jobs and they have to get back from work? Do you do evening appointments, or do you just accept
Yeah.
that you
So I
need to
mean,
take one?
at the end of the day, I kind of explain the reasoning behind it. I say, hey, you guys, I like to get everybody involved to answer everybody's questions. I want everybody to be on the same page. I said, and we are from this discount.
Mm,
So I kind of letting them know that, hey, if you're in the position to move forward, there is a discount available. And sometimes they may say, oh, well, my husband doesn't care. I'm the only one making this decision. And so you can't get them always there at the same time
sure,
as we try to do what we can. Sometimes if it sounds like a pretty promising lead, or maybe the zip code or the address looks like a nice project or whatever it may be, I may try to run that on a Saturday or Sunday, try to catch
sure.
them both at home. Sometimes they don't get off till 6, so I'm out there at 7 looking at it. So if it makes sense to get them both there, you can't always do that, but I try to do what I can to have both of them there, whether it's a night or a weekend estimate. I do plan around that as well. So.
Mm. So I mean, even when you're not, even when you're not on the tools, you're on the brush, you're still putting in that hustle and that, time and equity into like actually trying to earn the
Oh
business as
yeah,
well.
man,
Like
it
most people would
it
just
never
take
stops.
the,
Yeah, I mean, if I'm just sitting around on a Saturday and I'm like, I might just call 15 people, dude, just because I'm sitting there, my phone's in my hand, make 15 phone calls. It won't take a few
yeah,
seconds to call. Sunday, I've gotten calls on Sunday like, hey, we're in the situation where we need an estimate, trying to close on a house or something, and I'll take off Sunday afternoon and go look at it. And sometimes it goes somewhere, sometimes it doesn't. But yeah, I
mm,
mean, if I'm just sitting around with nothing to do, I mean, yeah, I'm either calling or looking at something. Yeah, so you can't just
yeah.
yeah, be passive. You kind of got to go out there and get it. Yeah.
I love that, man. You're like, I love that attitude. Like you're one of the guys that is like actually hungry to win and go and get it, and that's why you're winning. So like,
Yeah.
kudos to actually doing the thing and winning and making it happen. Um, if you had to start your business again tomorrow from scratch, where say it's you and your partner, let's give you the grace of having your partner on board still as well. What would you do differently? What would you do differently? Hire quicker, move quicker? Like how would you get to where you are now in like a year?
Yeah. So, I mean, the biggest thing is, like my dad and my partner's dad used to build houses together.
Mm,
My partner's uncle is actually who I started painting with out of high school. I was 17. He had
mm,
a painting business. He was painting for himself, self-employed painter. So that's just the way I've seen it. My dad worked for himself. He's 60. His dad worked for himself. He was 60. So nobody ever really grew this business. So I just always thought working for yourself was kind of the cool thing, right? Because you're out there, you're working for yourself, you're not answering nobody. So it took me a while to realize that I could bring on some guys quicker, kind of take a step back and kind of set something up that's more, passive in a sense where I'm not
mm,
out there on a ladder doing a bunch of labor, that kind of thing. So I think what I would do different I would probably move a little quicker. I think I would try to build my brand sooner,
mm,
and bring on employees or helpers a little quicker, so it gets me off the tools faster, because I think that was the biggest. You could work for yourself, and at first, like with my partner, we were paying ourselves decent, but that was like our cap. You know what I'm saying? That you're going to hit a ceiling that way because you can't do more work. You can only do so much. So I kind of convinced him to take a step back, pay ourselves a little bit less. Let's reinvest in whether it was ad spend or whatever it was. And then we
Mm,
slowly kind of started growing there. So I think just that step backwards, I would have done that sooner in a sense. Yep. Been
good.
prepared for that step back.
And is that what you did with us? You took the step back with your partner and then reinvested that into
Yeah,
Tridas and
so
ad
we were
spend and pushing
basically
that?
yeah, so when it was me and him, if we did a $10,000 job, when it was done, we split it. I mean, we paid off material and we split 5 grand, or 10
Mm,
grand, 5 grand each. So we were making decent money that way. But you could only do so much work a week. So we kind of hit a cap. I say some weeks we make 2 grand, some weeks we make 3 grand, but it was a cap there. You couldn't ever do much more than that. So
mm,
we kind of had a conversation. We stepped back and paid ourselves basically bare minimum, and took all that additional to either build up ad spend, bring on a helper, that kind of stuff, which kind of slowly snowballed into where we are now. So
mhm.
I think I would have done that a little bit sooner, because we did that. It was just me and him for probably 2 years before I decided to start bringing on help. Yeah.
Even start moving. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I think something you mentioned that I caught, but I didn't comment on was really interesting. You said that like other people in the paint shop at Lowe's and other painters like starting to recognize you and know who you are. I don't know if this has affected you yet, but I estimate this is something that's going to make a difference in the long run. Is like when you do want to go through these hiring sprees of like when you are aggressively growing, like the likelihood of people actually knowing who you are is going to have a pretty big play on you hiring people as opposed to you being this unknown company, this unknown
Right.
person that's like, oh, who's this guy? As opposed to like, oh, this is the fucking Memphis painter. This is the guy that's like showing up everywhere. You've almost got a little bit of a not like an ego attached to you. I'm trying to think of the right word, but you've got something attached to you where it's like people probably want to work for your company because they see you everywhere, and who people
Sure.
see they
Yeah. Yeah.
assume are like the best. The more you see
Right.
them, the better they are. Have you
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
you
No,
ran
I
into any
haven't.
conversations like that?
No, I hadn't yet. No, I get a lot of phone calls. Now they don't bring up the ad or nothing. But I'm gonna, hey, hey, is this Middleton? And I'm like, yeah, yeah. He's like, hey, well, I'm looking for a job. I'm a painter with X amount of
Mm,
experience. So I get a bunch of those phone calls, just cold calls, and I'm sure they're probably seeing the ad or seeing the website, or because I'm not running any hiring ads anywhere. I think
hmm
they're just seeing me somewhere else and calling me, looking, asking if we're hiring. So it's probably coming from the ads, but it hasn't been brought up directly. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see when you guys do go in like your next big hiring spree to see if there's anything there that does kind of bode beneficial to when you are hiring people, whether we run hiring ads with you with videos or if it's just you have more traction than like what the average painter would that's unknown that chucks out hiring ads. I think
Yeah.
that's going to
Yeah.
be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, man. I mean, you guys have crushed it. I mean, is there anything that you'd say to anybody that's potentially thinking about working with Tridas? Like, we don't take all the credit, but we certainly line them up for you to crush it and do the appointment setting call and go and collect those 9, 10K projects, which is an awesome average project size, by the way. Like, is it mainly
Yeah.
exteriors at the moment?
Yeah, it's been both. We try to keep all of our exterior work while we can because of the weather.
Mm,
So we've got some good interior stuff planned. I believe, I think our biggest interior we've got right now is almost 30 grand. That's scheduled for March, and I think that came from Tritus. So, but
Keith.
uh, but yeah, so I mean that's a big, massive interior. We try to push all those to, like, December, January, February, just because
Mm,
of the weather. Can't always push them out that far, but yeah, most of this year has been exterior, but we're slowly getting back into our interior season now. So
mm. So I
yeah,
guess side question then, because I'm really interested in this. It seems like a lot of your projects are bigger, which I'm assuming is more like either bigger homes or full home exteriors, interiors. Do you go about trying to like upsell people if people only want to do a couple of rooms? Do you go about trying to convince them to do the whole house, or does it just so happen that a lot of the people that you book appointments with just naturally want to do bigger
yeah, I think
projects?
the way we're doing our ads, our zip codes, we're kind of targeting higher income areas, I guess, in a sense. So most of
Yep.
the houses we do are bigger, and we've always, even before I started doing anything with you guys or Angie's or anybody, when I broke away and quit my job and took on this, I know I kind of set it towards, I guess, the goal of being a higher quality painter or paint business. So we
Sure.
focus on, just bigger quality jobs. So I mean, a lot of the customers that, whether it's word of mouth or they see Tridas, they kind of, I think they see us thinking, oh, that's got to be like one of the best painters in town, right?
Hmm.
Based off what they've seen on ads, and we're always in, these higher income areas, and we put yard signs out in our vans and stuff like that. So I think it just naturally over time, we're just getting a bunch of these big clients, houses that are 3 or 4 thousand square foot, and they just naturally are big exteriors or interiors. So,
Mm.
and I think we're kind of starting to get over that hump to where, yeah, we're definitely not the cheapest guys out there, but you kind of get what you pay for. And if they want
Hmm.
us when they call us, I mean, they're going to pay us, what we say it's worth. So I think that's definitely been a big help too. They just kind of a name in the game. If they want Middleton, that's going to cost them a little more. But that's just,
Sure.
if you want it, right, yeah. So that's kind of how I started at the very beginning, and we're slowly staying on that trajectory. So.
And how do you keep that up then? Because it's like everyone says they want to build a premium brand or, premium painting company. What do you think you need to do from the outlook to even be, because everyone's the best painter. Like everyone already knows that. Everyone's painting company is the best painting company. But like some guys get the 10K projects, some guys are trying to figure out how to land the 1K projects. Like, what do you think are the specific things that are helping you position yourself in that way in the first place from like an
I
external look
don't.
perspective?
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly, I don't. It's got to just be, I guess, in a sense, proof in the pudding. We're actually out here. You can see before and afters. You see the results. You probably hear word of mouth from other customers that we've done great things
Mm,
with. We've when you kind of look at some of the other bigger painters in our area, we've heard bad things about them, like, oh, I'll never use them again. And so I don't know what other guys are out there doing wrong, but it seems like there's a lot of that going on. Even some, like I said, some of the bigger brands in our area, or companies in our area, we've heard things about them where they're not standing behind their work, or they warranty something, then they don't. So, I mean, I think a lot of the times is, we'll come out, even if it costs me a little bit of money to send a guy back out there to do something right, or to redo something, or whatever it may be.
mm,
Our customer service, standing behind our product, coming back to do a touch up or recalking something or something like that. I always do that, even though if it had cost me money in the past, it seems like that's slowly playing, for me now, because we're getting a lot of referrals, word of mouth. People are saying that, if this guy says that he does it, that kind of thing. So I think it's just been a slow track record of what's kind of happened over the last couple of years. Because I mean, if something ain't right and it's on us, if it costs me money, I'm gonna go make sure it's right. So I
right.
think having that mindset and actually doing that over the last 5 years or whatever it is, 6 or 7 years, that's starting to play out.
So
Other
being
than that,
being
I
an
don't know if
ethical
I'm
human
doing
being.
yeah, I don't know if I'm doing anything specific or different, anything else. I know that I just tell my guys we're always going to do it right, even if it costs me a little money. We're going to do it right, and then eventually it kind of pays for itself. But we've seen some pretty crazy uh, work from other big companies. Some of the bigger guys, our competitors out there, that I'm surprised that they got away with. So I think we're just sticking to do it right, and it'll pay itself back. So
Yeah, I think at least from what I've noticed from you from this call as well, maybe you don't realize it because it's so normal and hygiene standard is I think there's lots of small 1% things that kind of stack up to separate you from some of the competition because like even in this video, right, you're wearing your Middleton painted polo. How many guys show up to estimates in their raggedy painting clothes? And it's like, great,
yeah,
maybe they're on the tools, but like have some self-respect. Like your 5,000 square foot exterior project with the two homeowners, a business owners that respect themselves, like they want to work with people that they can kind of like relate to or have that little bit of self-respect. It's like if you're showing up into our home like looking scraggy and dirty, how does that feel congruent with the quality of paint job you're going to do for a home, right? It's like
yeah,
even small stuff like showing up in a polo, being professional. Like you mentioned, you have like a leaflet that you give to people, right? It's like a little another 1% stack in your direction. It's like how many other people are giving you something that shows, like you said, pictures of your family and showing that you're a real person that they can rate to, feel like they can have a connection with. Obviously, you've got
yeah.
like the video ads, so you're positioned as like the best in the area. You're collecting your reviews. You've got a good reputation because you're running an ethically good business. I don't know if you do you like have your truck wrapped or anything like that.
No, I don't have my vans wrapped. I've got three guys in vans, but they're not wrapped right now. That's probably one of our next steps.
I would get
Um,
them wrapped
but
100%.
it's
There's a
just
couple of
one. I've
guys that
been
have done
trying to
really
get
good
my
ones.
Sherwin-Williams rep to maybe help us out with it. So I'm still pulling on his leg. But so yeah, that's probably going to be one of the next things we do. But another thing that too, a lot of people ask us, they say, um, are your guys subs? Are they your guys? You just send a random crew over here and just slap some paint on the house. And I kind of the way we do it, we'll start the project, and I've always got either my partner or one of our, I guess, head painters or managers in a sense, on every job. So I tell them, hey, every job we got a project manager that's available. You can call me directly, and then maybe when they're saying that, when the owner's telling them, hey, you can call me directly if you need something. I don't know
Mm,
if some of these other bigger businesses, the owner may not be the face of the company in a sense. So they're just
mm,
reaching out to some customer support person or some kind of a, you know what I mean? So that may be kind of where we're getting some of that from. They know they can call me directly always. They've got my personal cell phone number. At some point, I think that may have to change a little bit because, I mean, I don't want my number out there always if we get a lot bigger. But right now, they got my personal cell. They can call me directly. A bunch of our repeat customers, they just call my cell phone. Hey, we're looking to get this quoted versus coming through
mm.
the central system or whatever. So that may be kind of part of why they, reach out to us a little more, just because they kind of feel like more of a personal level, I guess, than just calling like a 1-800 number or something, right? They can call me
Sure.
directly, which I think does play out a little bit.
Just again, it's like the very first thing you said in the call was like position yourself as this like local kind of friendly sort of business, which is huge. You're building relationships. Is there anything else you feel like, Dennis last year at 400K a year should know if he's listening now? Anything differently that we haven't ran over? Any golden nuggets or things that you think would be important to kind of think about as you're growing for the next year?
Stuff we haven't already talked about, you mean?
Yeah, yeah. Anything that we haven't touched on? Anything you feel like
Uh,
is worth mentioning?
I don't. It may just be something I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. I think the biggest thing that's really propelled us is going to be really, kind of back on building our brand. It's
Hmm.
people want me to come out and give them the estimate. They want me to do the work versus some of these other lead services. They're just getting 5 or 6 guys to show up randomly and they don't know who they're calling. But yeah, big building your brand. I mean, quality first. I mean that kind of thing. And just I think my next step, that maybe one thing we haven't talked about would be, bringing on. I think my next step is going to bring on like an assistant type person that does these phone
Hmm.
calls and try to takes care of some of these backlogs, just to kind of
Mm.
keep estimates going. But yeah, other than that, man, I think, I'm sure I'll come up with I'll figure it out down the road. But right now, yeah, I think that's where I'm at. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a huge step as well. And we'll wrap this up in a second. But I think the fact that you've went and done the stuff in the trenches, like making all these calls, doing all these textbook and the estimates, so
Yeah.
many guys don't do that, and then they go and hire an assistant and expect this magic assistant to change their business. But I think you've done a great job of like proving it can be done and putting in the work. So like no matter who you hire, as long as they've got a good personality and they've got the soft skills, you're going to be able to train them on these hard skills of actually how to take the calls because you've put in the work and done it and proven it out, which is super important. I think in like every business and every role, like the owner should do the thing and prove it out first before passing it to someone so you can pass a successful process. So
Yeah.
like I think no matter who you hire, as long as you don't completely flump it, like it's
Right.
going to go well because you've already done the process, which is huge.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, for anybody listening to this that's potentially thinking about chatting to Tridas or potentially thinking about working with Tridas, is there anything you'd say to them who are on the fence?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, it took me a while to kind of jump on that train and pull the trigger. Just, you think that, especially being self-employed, just me and a guy or helper, my partner or whatever it was, you just think that's the best way to do it. It takes a minute. It took a minute for me to kind of get over that, but I mean, absolutely, if you're thinking about it, I mean, I don't, I would have done it sooner if I would have known sooner, I guess. Um,
Mm.
you know, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been a no-brainer game changer for us, man. We've gotten, from where it's taken us from where we were to now. Um, Definitely. I mean, give it a shot. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate the kind words, man, and I massively respect your work ethic and willing to actually put in the work as well. I think I'm going to jump off this call and make a few more calls that I probably should be making, and
There you go.
make it happen. But yeah, man, I appreciate you jumping on. If you need anything, you've obviously got us in Slack to support you, and yeah, let's see what we can end 2025 at, and let's push the goal more than 1.5 million next year. If we're on track for
Hey, hey,
1.1
I'd
million
love to
this
see it,
year, I
man.
think we
Yeah,
could do
I'm
more
trying
than
to be modest, I guess. Yeah.
that. Sweet man, I appreciate it, Dennis. Have a good rest of your
Awesome,
day,
man.
man.
Thank you, guys. All
See you
right.
later. Bye.
Yeah.